Welcome to our daily Forex market analysis, and this is for trading on November the 14th, 2019. Just a quick disclaimer here before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. All right, so as usual, let's start off by taking a look at our economic calendar here. In terms of the data, we had negative data or CPI numbers out of UK here, positive numbers for the month-over-month inflation numbers here out of the US. The important stuff that happened today, other than that, we also had Fed Chair Powell testify here, and essentially he stuck to what was said in the previous FOMC. So at this point, basically what he said was that they are going to hold things stable right now, but if things change, should things go down, then they are ready to actually cut interest rates or support the markets with the monetary policy easing. So overall, it's a little bit dovish in terms of the Fed stance. But this is what they had said at FOMC as well. So nothing really has changed. It just points to overall kind of dovish stance from the Fed. So that's where we are. Another thing we have to start keeping an eye on now are the impeachment hearings for President Trump that started today. So if there is anything that comes out of it, that could also have an impact on the market. Right now, the market doesn't really, it seems to be ignoring the whole thing at this point. But should something change and something really big comes out, it could have a negative impact on the market. So that's something we definitely need to keep in mind, especially if trading the US dollar. Okay, so that's what we had coming up though. Oh, yesterday we had New Zealand dollar or Reserve Bank of New Zealand monetary policy statement, and they actually did not cut rate as the market was expecting. So we were all looking for a quarter-point drop in the market. That did not happen, and as a result of that, we saw New Zealand dollar go up. So that was just something we saw. So basically they said that they are looking for economy to drop a little bit, but they do not see a need to cut interest rates any further. They have already cut interest rates, so they are not looking to cut the interest rates any further. So they kept the rate stable. And then coming up here, we have employment numbers out of Australia. So if these numbers are below expectations, we are likely to see Australian dollar drop. But if the numbers come in strong, then we could see Australian dollar go up as a result. And then Chinese data here. Overall, like if the industrial production numbers, for example, drop, then we could have a negative impact on New Zealand dollar and Australian dollar. But right now, based on the Reserve Bank of New Zealand monetary policy stance, the New Zealand dollar has been strong overall today. So let's go on to the charts now. So we'll start off with euro dollar as usual. We were looking for a drop. We got a bit of a drop, but today's candle close is actually a neutral candle. Price dropped here, but overall, this doesn't give us a strong indication of a continuation. We are also fairly close to our support here. So price dropped all the way into 1.099. So yeah, it came to 1.10. So it did hit the first target, but it doesn't look like a strong bearish candle. And we could see price turn around now. So just be mindful of that. Once we start to get these kind of indecision candles, things can change. Doesn't mean they necessarily will, but they can. So we just have to be careful. So bias here is neutral. I will just wait to see which direction price wants to go in. If it goes into the bottom and then doesn't go through, we could see it go back up. So in that case, price could go all the way into 1.1050 level and then potentially higher into 1.1070. And then, but if it breaks through the support, then it could go lower into 1.0970 and then 1.0920. But at this point, I will look to see which side it wants to break in. If it wants to break through the high, then we're looking for a move higher. but if it breaks through the support, then I will look for a move lower here. But overall, overall it is neutral. Actually, you know, I forgot something here. We didn't actually look at what's coming up on Thursday in terms of news. We just looked at what happened during the day. Okay, so tomorrow we do have some data here, German preliminary GDP numbers here, which are likely to have an impact on euro. We have retail sales numbers out of UK. And if the numbers are below expectations here, we could see pound drop. And then PPI numbers here for the month out of the US. And then we also have multiple FOMC members as well as Powell again tomorrow. So anything that deviates from their stance could have an impact on the US dollar. So just keep an eye on it. But that's it for tomorrow. So back to our charts here again. Okay, so this was neutral. Okay, let's take a look at pound here. Pound hasn't done a whole lot either. Overall, it is making lower highs, but between yesterday and today, it hasn't been able to break down further. So we do have back-to-back 2 days of neutral candles here at this point. Again, very, very small move here for British pound. It wasn't really able to follow through to the downside, which means it could go back up. So we have to keep that in mind. What I would look for here would be, so bias is still neutral, but I will look for a retest at the bottom. If it doesn't go through, we are likely to see the price go up towards 1.2970 level. So neutral bias, but if it doesn't break the support at 1.2820, if it holds above, then I will look for a move higher. But if it does manage to push through, then we're likely to see this next level here, which is 1.2720, and then potentially a move lower, and we could get this entire move to the downside. So this move up could get filled here. But right now, it's just been holding in this range for quite some time. It's just been moving sideways here. It's still overall bullish here because it's holding above this previous support resistance level, and it hasn't managed to break. So what I was looking for was a break here. That has not happened. And now we could essentially see a move towards the top. So let's see if that plays out. But back-to-back 2 days of neutral move, very, very small move for British pound today. So bias is neutral. I will look to see which direction price wants to go. If it breaks through the high here of today's candle, which is 1.2870, I would look for a move higher towards 1.2970. So overall bias is neutral, but look for that further move to the upside. Aussie dollar here, this one did drop yesterday. We were looking for a drop, but we have a big indecision candle here as well. It's neutral. Price moved in both directions. So Australian dollar usually does get impacted by New Zealand dollar as well. So when the New Zealand dollar rates didn't get cut, Australian dollar moved up with it as well. So at this point though, bias is neutral. This one could go in either direction. What I will look for is to see if price drops here, and if it holds above, looking for a move higher. On the other hand, though, it could just take off to the upside. In that case, we have to see a break above the high of today's candle. And once it goes through that, then essentially we're looking for a move into 0.6900 back into this resistance level. For now, though, it is neutral, and we just need to see which direction price aligns. Now, this can also be one of the reasons, or two of the reasons behind this will be Powell's testimony, which is again happening tomorrow as well as the impeachment proceedings. So market just may be waiting to see what comes out of those events before US dollar actually gets stronger. So if the comments from the Fed stay dovish, then we could see US dollar weaken, which means all the dollar crosses could go back up around that. So if you're trading US dollar tomorrow, just be mindful of what happens with the testimony there. So neutral for Aussie dollar as well. New Zealand dollar, this looks quite bullish. This is where price was not able to break through the support level, and it just jumped up higher based on the Reserve Bank of New Zealand statement on them holding the rate at the current level. That shows that they are more positive overall than they are dovish, and as a result we saw price go up. So bias is bullish here. I will look for a retest from the other side of this range here. This is the range that price was stuck in for a few days here. Now it's broken to the upside, so I will look for a drop back to test the top of the range, 0.6380, and then looking for a move higher into 0.6450. So bias here is bullish for New Zealand dollar. Dollar CAD here, this is looking bullish here, but price did struggle here. It's right into our support resistance level. So if we were to zoom out, as we can see, this level has been tested multiple times and it has played a role multiple times. So bias is still bullish here. However, what we need to keep in mind is the move higher. If price moves into the high of the day but doesn't break through, I will look for that move back down. So keep an eye on that. And we could see price come back down towards 1.3230. So overall bias is bullish, but I would be cautious of the high of the day, which is 1.3270. If it doesn't go through, I will look for a drop there, but overall still maintaining that bullish bias for dollar CAD. If it goes through the high, then 1.3300 is our next target, but just be mindful of that. Let's take a look at commodities here. Yesterday we had talked about how this was into the support. It's still holding, and now we had two back-to-back neutral days. Now we have a bullish candle here. So bias is bullish. I will look for a pullback potentially, and then if it holds above into the next level here. So 17.20 is the first target here for silver, and only if it goes through that, we're looking at 17.35. So bias here is bullish for both, for silver. And let's take a look at gold here. Gold is looking bullish as well. We had a neutral day, and now we do have that bullish candle close. So bias is bullish. Next target is 1472, and then 1482, and finally 1492. So 1472 and 1492 are the two targets to keep an eye on. So bias here is bullish for gold as well. Oil still trading in that range. We did have a bullish candle close today, so bias is bullish, but only towards the top of the range at 57.80. And this is again another one that has been range bound for quite some time here. So over a week it's been trading in this range. At this point, I would look to see how price reacts at the range, at the high of the range. If it doesn't manage to get through, we could see a drop here. So keep that in mind. Bias here is neutral for now. Okay, next one, copper. Copper looking bearish. Yesterday we were looking for a drop. We got that. It is close to support, so just be careful. But bias is bearish. Target 2.57, and then below that we have 2.55. So bias is bearish for copper at the moment. Bitcoin is looking neutral here. Last 2 days, it hasn't done a whole lot. So neutral bias for this one. Now, if the equity markets start to drop, this one could actually go back up. So keep that in mind. It's coming into, it is into support here. So it's holding on to that support. So if it doesn't go down, I will look for price to go back up. But it's a little bit early at this moment. So keep an eye on the equity markets, and that would tell us which direction this will go. So Bitcoin is starting to act like a safe haven asset. It's not completely tied into the market, or it's not completely reflecting the markets, but still, it is starting to act like it. So keep an eye on it. If the equity markets start to drop, see what Bitcoin is doing, and if it starts to go up, we could see a follow through. So first target here is 89.60, and then the top of the range at 95.50. So there may be an opportunity there, but again, we'll have to look at it. So neutral bias for Bitcoin. S&P 500, we did see a drop in the market, but it's still looking bullish here. It's holding on to, it's slowly making its way up, but it's holding on to the bullish bias. It's compressing, but there's no change in direction yet. As such, bias is bullish, but if we see here, it hasn't actually made a higher high at this point. So it could drop. So generally when we get a compressed move, we can see it can change directions. At this point, it's struggling. Bias is still bullish here though. It could go back up, so be careful. 3,100 would be the first target, and then I would say 3,120 is the second target. Just be careful going too bullish on this, because things, when it starts to look like this, it can turn. But for now, bias is bullish. Nasdaq here, this one is also still trading in that range, hasn't really gotten out of it, but it hasn't dropped either. It tried to and then went back up. It is getting compressed as well at this point. And generally when it starts to get compressed, it tends to change direction. However, we do not have a good bearish candle yet. So as such, bias is still bullish. And next target here, we are into all-time highs. Again, another reason to be cautious, but I will look at 8,300 as the next target, and then 8,350. So bias is bullish here for Nasdaq as well. Dow Jones, this one is again bullish. It's holding above this previous support resistance level. It is looking bullish. 27,800 will be the first target, and then 28,000 will be the second target here. So bias here is bullish still for our Dow Jones as well. And then we have our DAX. DAX is range bound at the moment. It dropped, but then it held above the support, which pushed it back up. So bias is bullish. I would say 13,300, and then only if it goes through, I will look at 13,400. But for now, our bias is bullish. And this one is into, it's into our resistance here. So 13,400 is a good target here for next one. Yes, 13,400 will be the next target, but first one is 13,300, right into the top of the range. If it doesn't go through, it can drop there. FTSE here, FTSE hasn't really done a whole lot. It did drop a little bit, but this candle is bullish, so it's still going sideways here. At this point, I would say bullish here, pinned to the downside, which means it can go back up. 7,400 is the first target. 74.20 is the second target here for our FTSE. Last one, Nikkei here. This one is starting to look bearish, or more bearish compared to other ones. I would say for this one, the first target will be the support here at 23,100. And then below that, we're looking at 23,000 here. So this one is starting to look bearish. We are seeing lower highs being made. There's bearishness in this candle. So starting to look bearish and bearish bias hence. And target is 23,100 and then 23,000 as the next target. All right, so we will wrap it up here. Have a wonderful trading day tomorrow, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.